Welcome to The Localist, a conversation with local makers and independent entrepreneurs. I'm your host, author of the Localist book, and former small business owner, Carrie Rollwagon. So today we're going to talk about theme days. So this is something that I've talked about in my newsletter before, that I've talked about in, blogs before, maybe even on the podcast before, but it's been really popular, so I wanted to popular in that I've gotten some feedback from all of you. So I wanted to do a deep dive episode on what are theme days and how do I use them. So this is a way to organize your work, whether you're a small business owner, you're running your own brand, you're a local maker, whatever it is. I think theme days are super helpful when you are just so overwhelmed that you don't even know where to start. Like, you have so many different things going on, and so for an example, I'll tell you about when I started using theme days. I had just taken my role as Vice President of Strategic Planning at Infomedia, and suddenly I stepped into this role where I had all these different departments reporting to me ultimately. Like, a lot of them were in various forms of disarray. I still had a lot of parts of my old job, which was communications director, so I had some marketing things and some writing things, and I was also doing the Localist, so I just had so many things going on. And what happened is I would sit at my desk every day, not know where to start because everything was on fire, and then I would start on something and I would get about not even 2 minutes into it. I would get probably 45 seconds into it, maybe 2 or 5 minutes, and then think, oh gosh, actually I think this other thing is probably more important, and then I would either do that or it would be really hard for me to concentrate on what I was working on because I thought part of me was like, I should be working on that other thing. I just didn't even know where to begin. So I started with theme days, which is basically dividing up your tasks by the subject or the theme. So this is similar kind of to batch working. So you may have heard of batch working. Batch working is where you're like, I have a lot of emails to write, so I'm going to write all my emails on Monday. I'm going to record all my podcasts on Tuesday. I'm going to edit them on Wednesday, that kind of thing. But theme days are different in that you're not batching by type of work. You're kind of batching by the subject of the work. So for example, when I took my job, I had theme days that were, I think, like sales was Monday, project management was Tuesday, design was Wednesday. So I kind of divided them up like that. The great thing about this was suddenly, instead of having this huge list of lots and lots of different things, I had a still kind of huge list, but it was all on one subject. So when I looked at Monday and I could just look at what do I need to do for sales, that was a lot more manageable. It was a lot more easier. It was easier for my brain to figure out what is actually the most important thing on this list. I will knock this out today. So it really had a benefit of helping me prioritize. It also helps me relax a little bit about the other things that were on other subjects because I no longer had to think, well, am I ever going to get to that project management task? I better do it right now. No, instead I would think, I don't have to worry about that task today because I know that I will get to it tomorrow. So it really helped me to kind of also not feel like I had to jump from thing to thing to thing. And eventually, every time I've done theme days like a few times, and honestly for me, I don't stick with them, but that's okay because they're not really the practice that I want to do all the time. They're the practice that gets me out of complete overwhelm. So they are still super, super helpful for me. So here's some ways to actually do this. First of all, narrow down your themes. Like, as you're listening, you're probably like, well, it's nice for you that things worked out in like little buckets. But they didn't really work out on little buckets. First, I made this big list of all of the subjects I felt like I had to tackle. And then I kind of could see from that, like, which ones could be together, what could I identify as the theme for that day. Now, at that time, it did kind of fall into a little more like, it ended up being a little more like departments that ended up being my themes. But whatever you're doing, just kind of write down different things. And just, you can group like things together. Either group like things together, or you can group something that, you know, this subject is going to have a lot. I'm going to have a lot on here. and this other little thing needs to get done, but I never have that many tasks. So you could put those in the same theme day because you think you'll be able to get them done. But first, figure out what your themes are and actually take the step of writing down which theme is going to go with which day. And at least for 2 to 3 weeks, really try to stick to that. Okay, once you've narrowed down your themes, when you're figuring out which day goes with which theme, look at your existing schedule and try to work with your existing schedule as much as possible. Now, granted, hopefully you'll be able to actually like break some different things down, move some things around, work on a schedule that actually works better for your theme days, but it's going to be a lot less painful, especially if you work with other people, or even if you have kids, or if you have a regular schedule, a school schedule, like build around that schedule instead of trying to fight it, and it will be a lot easier. So an example of this for me is that we have a big meeting with a lot of the salespeople on Mondays. So that's why I put my sales day on Monday. I would have preferred not to start with my week with sales. It's not my favorite thing to talk about. Sorry, salespeople. But it just worked out that like I couldn't move that meeting. So it was much easier for me to put my theme day on that day. So I wasn't having to say like, okay, well, this is my design department theme day, but I also have a sales meeting. So work around your current schedule as much as you possibly can. And then hold those themes loosely. So the point of the themes for me was not to say, if you are from another department, you cannot talk to me on Mondays. Now, that just would have been impossible. I had so many other things to do, and you do too probably, that I was still doing plenty of stuff on those days that were not related to the theme. Now, yes, I did try to schedule them around it. Like if they were going to schedule a meeting, I would try to say, hey, this is a project management meeting. Could we do this on Tuesday, etc. I did my best to work around it, but also I don't expect everyone in the company to work around my schedule. Like I'm doing theme days now, everyone, so change how you do everything, and people had emergencies that I was responsible for on days that weren't convenient for me for them to be having emergencies. They still do that. They're always doing that. But so I would deal with other things. Mostly the theme days would really help me narrow down what has to get done, what is in those, if you've seen the urgent, important quadrant situation, what is in both the urgent and important quadrant, what are the 1 to 3 things that I'm going to make sure I get done today, and those would fit in that theme. And then other things would also slot in, but I would be able to say, like, no matter what else comes up today, I need to get these 3 things knocked out from my theme. So that's just a kind of a starter kit, I guess, to theme days. And I hope they can be useful for you. I really think with organizational tactics like this, there's just a lot of experimentation. You may try theme days and hate it. Or they just may not work for you. Or you may try it and love it and do it forever, or you may be like me and you use it whenever you are in a major overwhelm, but you don't use it all the time. But I do think it can be a good tool to get out of that overwhelmed place. And really, it's just experiment with these things. Experiment. I'll link in the show notes. We have a whole hour-long episode on different ways to organize your time. Experiment with different ways and find the one that really does work for you, that makes things more manageable and just makes your life more fun to live and makes your business more profitable. I should probably say that too. All right, so thanks for listening. The Localist podcast is brought to you by Infomedia Studios. We are literally in one of the Infomedia studios. This is our podcast studio. If you're interested in podcasts, photos, videos, anything like that, hit us up at infomedia.com, fill out that contact form, and we can help you out. So The Localist is written and produced by me, Carrie Rollwagon. Our outreach manager is Jen Tucker. Our showrunner is Taylor Davis. And our marketing and promotions manager is Elena Harmon. You can find me on social media at CRollwagon. You can also find a link in that bio to sign up for my newsletter where I share lots more tips like this. So until next time, here's to thinking Until next time, here's to thinking global by acting local and putting small shops before big box.